All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a problem that, let's be honest, every single Python developer has faced: dependency management. We're going to talk about the classic headaches and then show off a really slick, modern tool designed to make all that pain just go away. So let's just get right into it. Have you ever been there, spending hours, maybe even days, just trying to figure out why one package version is fighting with another? Or, and we've all said it, you hear that classic line, but it works on my machine. Yeah, that place, that's what we call dependency hell. And it is absolutely where good projects go to die a slow death. And this really lays it all out. It's a tale of two worlds, right? On the left, you've got the old way. You're juggling pip, you're managing a venv, you're manually updating a requirements.txt file. It's a mess, and it almost always leads to these inconsistent setups. But then you look over on the right, and you see the poetry way. It's a single all-in-one tool that promises to handle all that complexity for you. And that, of course, brings us to the hero of our story today, a tool called Poetry. It was built from the ground up to bring some much-needed sanity back to managing Python projects. So what is Poetry exactly? Well, the best way to think of it is like a Swiss Army knife for your Python projects. It's this one single command line tool that doesn't just manage your dependencies, oh no, it also handles creating your virtual environments, building your project into a package you can share, and even publishing it to the world. It does the whole shebang. The real promise of Poetry, the big idea, is consolidation. Instead of you having to learn and juggle a bunch of different tools like pip, then setup.py, it just brings everything together under one roof. It manages those virtual environments for you automatically, and it uses this single standard config file called pyproject.toml as the one source of truth for your entire project. Simple as that. Okay, so that all sounds great on paper, right? But talk is cheap. Let's actually take a look at what this looks like day to day. How does it really make your coding life simpler? And this is where it gets just beautifully simple. Your whole workflow basically boils down to 3 steps. First, Poetry init gets your project all set up. Second, you want to add a package? Just Poetry add and the name. It installs it and updates your config automatically. And third, to run your code, it's just Poetry run. That's it. No more manually activating and deactivating environments. It just works. And here's the best part. As you're adding all these packages, your pyproject.toml file stays incredibly clean and easy to read. It only lists the things you directly ask for, not the, dozens and dozens of other little dependencies they might bring in. It keeps your project's blueprint super clear and manageable. Okay, let's get to the core innovation here. The one feature that guarantees, and I mean guarantees, that your project works exactly the same for everybody, every single time. This is where the real magic of Poetry is. Poetry's secret weapon is this clever 2-file system. You have the pyproject.toml file, which is your blueprint. It's where you say what you want, often with flexible version numbers. But then there's the poetry.lock file, and that is an exact snapshot. It records the precise version of every single package that got installed, right down to the sub-dependencies. You manage the blueprint, Poetry manages the snapshot. And that right there, that is the key to everything. That lock file is what delivers on the promise of reproducible builds. When your teammate joins the project and runs Poetry install, Poetry reads the lock file, not the blueprint, and it recreates the exact same environment, down to the last byte. This is how you finally kill that "it works on my machine" problem for good. So, we've seen how it all works, but what's the actual payoff here? What does making the switch to Poetry really get for you and for your team? So look, the big takeaway here is that Poetry isn't just about swapping out one tool for another. It's a fundamental upgrade to your entire workflow. You get clarity because there's just one config file. You get consistency thanks to that lock file. You get simplicity because you're learning one tool instead of 4 or 5. And all of that adds up to confidence. The confidence that your code is just going to run predictably everywhere. So when you look at a tool that offers this much clarity, this much power, this much consistency, you kind of have to ask the question. The next time you start a new project, or the next time you find yourself stuck in that dependency hell, maybe ask yourself, is it finally time to say goodbye to requirements.txt for good?